Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. From broken to bulletproof. Heal and overcome your limitations so you can step into your power. Alright, I'm on fire right now, so I'm getting better and better at putting all the pieces together in a way that you can finally understand it so you can go live it. The music volume goes down now. So this is going to be a 3-part series. A couple of ideas came up. One of them came up from someone who responded to one of my postings on my video. Let me actually look up his name or username. El Patriato. Okay. Cool name. I actually never read it before. I saw the image, but not that. Man, I don't know if I want to start with that because that's a pretty long reading. But man, did I put the pieces in all the way from Genesis 1:1, what the Bible's all about. See, I'm gonna give you a brief synopsis. I'm gonna make a separate video for that because that was a long paragraph after paragraph writing a response to him. So here's the deal. Everything comes down to literally Genesis 1:1, Genesis 1:3. And then when Adam and Eve hid from God, that's it. The whole Bible, this whole experience comes down to that. Period. End of sentence. If you can understand that, everything becomes simple. Honestly, the whole Bible comes down to one single verse. That's it. If you can just understand this, you got it. You're done. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created. That's it. Everything else is bullshit. Everything else is a complete wreck. It's a complete destruction of creation. See, I'm afraid to go into any more depth because it's just going to muddle it up and screw it up, and that's it. Creation. Thank you very much for listening to this video. I'll see you in the next video. No, I'm just kidding. My point, though, of using that, of just what I just said, that's it. There is no... Anything else is ego talk. Anything else is the negativity, the destruction, the turning away from. Now we got to turn you back to. And that's what happened. After that one verse, everything goes to hell. I'm not saying God made it go to hell. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is something happened that screwed everything up. It was never meant to be all this other stuff. Alright, now watch this. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Genesis 1:3. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Boom. Done. See, if you go any further, you're just going to screw it up. God just said, "Let it be," and it was so. It also says, God made us in his or in their image. The funny thing about a lot of people, Christians, they never question that. Wait, their image? What do you mean there? That means more than one. Exactly. That's even a sidestep. Let's not muddle this. It's really simple. God said, "Let there be light," and it was so. Okay? We're here to create. God made us in his image, in their image. No. I'm not saying you are the God, the only God. I am not saying you are the omnipotent one. But I am saying you were made to create. You are in the image of God. So if God's creating stuff, you're supposed to be creating stuff. If God has these abilities, you have these abilities. Now here's what I mean. Create a bridge. Create a job. Create a new business. Create a new website. Create a new image. Learn how to do energy healing. Learn how to heal like Jesus did. You're here to discover. You're here to create something new, something different, something better, something fun, something happy. The Garden of Eden was a creation school. When you were in the garden, I'm not saying it was like a structure like, sitting in a classroom. Maybe you were. But I actually see it as if you're just out in the land, on the grass, the trees with the birds, and you're kind of hanging out with God, and God's like, hey, like, here, let me show you how to create this. Let me show you how to make that better. Or let me show you how to use your powers, your manifestation, your spiritual skills, your spiritual abilities. And that's what I'm really talking about. If you really believe in the Bible, if you really see, here's the deal, most Christians don't actually believe. They just follow rules and do as they're told. In fact, they're taught a lot of limitations, and that's part of what this video is going to go over. All right, so the Garden of Eden was just a place of manifestation, creation. It could be 3D physical, it could be spiritual. See, here's the deal. There was no right or wrong. There was no limitation. In fact, the creation of right or wrong is the work of the devil, because it stops you from all the other possibilities. It leaves you with either A or B, and that's it. There's no other possibilities. I'm here to destroy, smash, obliterate all your beliefs, all your rules, all the things that are holding you back from your own power. Your power is already there. It's already inside you. You just need to let go of the brainwashing lies that were conditioned into you that cover over your own powers. The left brain is the either or brain. A or B, that's it. There's no other possibilities. And you have to pick one, which means there is no possibilities. And that's the trick of the devil. The right brain is all about possibilities. That's why the right brain is literally called the creative brain. Wait a minute. Creative, that sounds familiar. Hold on. The right brain is the emotional, creative, spiritual brain. Okay. Emotions, feelings, creation, spiritual. Wait a minute. I think I'm onto something here. As above, so below. As in heaven, as on earth. Wait a minute. Did God mean what he said? Did Jesus mean what he said? Wait a minute. Didn't Jesus say in the Bible, mean what you say and say what you mean? He did. He actually, in the other way, say what you mean and mean what you say. You mean God meant what he said? That's very interesting. So what does it say again? Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created. And then God said, we made them in our image? Hey, something's going on here. All right, so here's the deal. This is what it's all about. We were always meant to create. I'm not saying you are on the level of God. That's not. It's more like we're students, okay? We're like kids. We're learning. We're playing. And that's that's right there. That's how it was always meant to be. We were never meant to suffer like we are now. That is a complete lie of the devil. That's a complete lie. We were not meant to suffer. We have got to get rid of this whole narcissistic cult mentality that we must sacrifice someone so we can benefit. Now just think about that. How effed up is that? But Mike, we must kill someone. We must kill something. We must take their life force and steal it from them. Yeah, that's real godly-like. Sure. But you know what? God said, fine. If that's what it's going to take for you to finally open back up to me. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't even talk about Genesis 3:3. So here's the deal. The tree of knowledge is your left brain. Okay, I know I've said this before. The serpent wanted you to believe that that was where you're supposed to be all the time. That's what narcissists do to you. They want you to get stuck in your logic. So now you are disconnected from your spiritual tools, your ability, your connection to God. This is your power source. This is your creation. This is the energy. Think of it as being a painter. You need a canvas, and the main thing that you need is paint. Without paint, you can't create art. Same thing on computers, whether you're a web designer or you create images and stuff, you need source code. You need code in order to create images. Without that, that's the source of all creation. You can't create. So if you're disconnected from the creation energy, well, you're stuck. But what you can do is you can work hard and laboriously for demonic narcissists. You can work for them to make them successful, to make them rich. What do? These people come along, they find these artists that have amazing music abilities, and then they trap them, and they've been doing this for decades now, 40, 50, 60 years. They trap them in these binding contracts where these people who created nothing, they steal from the artist, and the artist gets something like 2.5% of the earnings. Maybe it's 5%. And these people who created nothing gain all the profits. Tell me that's not narcissistic. Tell me that's not evil. And that's exactly what's going on. The devil needs to make sure that you don't understand who you are and the power that you already have. The creative ability is power. Without that, you are stuck, and you will be a laborer, a servant to these people who didn't do an ounce of work, but they made up a bunch of rules. What did I say? They made up a bunch of rules to take from you, to limit you, and to control you. It's time to wake up. So number 1, Genesis 1:1, create. That's it. Done. Satan's pissed off. Satan doesn't want to create. Satan disconnected from God out of his ego. So he said, F this. Screw that. How can I hurt God? I'm mad at God because I'm limited. But he limited himself. That's the thing. He disconnected from creation. And he tricked you to do the same thing. But why did he do this? Because the way that the devil is going to hurt God is by hurting God's children. Imagine being a mother and a father, and someone comes along and physically harms your little 2-year-old child, your 3-year-old child, your teenage daughter that's so beautiful, harms them, hurts them, from physically attacking them, from the R word, from getting them into drugs, to destroying them. How do you think that parent's going to feel? How are you going to feel? You going to be okay with it? No, that's going to rip your heart and soul out, and that is what's been going on all the way back to the book of Genesis chapter 3. And then on top of it, he turned you away from God. Genesis 2, the very last chapter, verse 25. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not, N-O-T, were not ashamed. Then we go to chapter 3, and all of a sudden he's saying, oh, surely this isn't wrong and this is bad. Well, what God meant was don't get stuck in your left brain and close the door. That's what he meant. The doorway between left and right brains was always meant to be open. Now, I've worked with men in my course called Cracked Female Code for decades, and I noticed after about 7 or 8 years, 10 years, like, some men would pop open and they loved it. It's like freedom. But then you'd get the majority of men, I mean like 8 out of 10 men, that would open up like, whoa, what's this? This is cool. Wow. And they liked it. And then about maybe 5 minutes, a half an hour, they go, and boom, and they close up. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Oh, nothing. And what I realized was men learn to hide behind their logic from their emotions because they don't want to get hurt emotionally. So as a teenager, boys are born using our left brain. And what we learn in society is like, well, I don't have to use my right brain anymore because I'm not a caveman. I'm not stuck out in the wilderness. See, when you're stuck out in the wilderness to survive without machines, mechanics, and computers, and taxes, and money, and grocery stores, you have to rely on your 5 senses, which is your right brain. Men used to be very right brain beings. Not anymore. You had to tune into your 5 senses to hunt, to stay alive, to avoid your enemies, so you could be aware. Awareness is a huge, massive tool. And that's why I teach people to learn how to be emotionally grounded and internal, like Christ says to look within, because now you're reconnected. Look at the tree. It almost looks the same. The roots and the top, other than the leaves, if you take the leaves off, it's the same thing. So above, as below, as in heaven, as on earth. The serpent shamed you. You ate of the fruit, and he came along and he embarrassed you. So you literally covered up with fig leaves. That's symbolic of hiding from your emotions, hiding from your naturalness, which is your right brain. The left brain is literally the mechanical brain. It's the science, math, business. Now, I'm not saying you don't use it. I'm saying you need to keep the doorway open so the information can transfer from left to right. So you get higher knowledge from above that comes through the right brain, and then the left brain goes, okay, what can I do with this? So the serpent came along and told them, okay, so here's what happens. So chapter 3, verse 8, and they heard the voice of the Lord. Now this is after they ate of the fruit, which means they got stuck in the left brain. By the way, what gets you stuck in your left brain? Shame, humiliation, guilt, doubt, confusion. Sound familiar? It's biblical, by the way. Genesis 3, verse 8. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves. Okay, first of all, who hid? They hid from God, not the other way around. A lot of people are like, oh, Lord God, where are you? And he's standing next to you going, I'm right here, dude. All you got to do is open up. Oh, Lord God, why do you hide yourself from mine eyes? He's not hiding. He never did. You did, because you got ashamed. So he goes on to say, the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence. The presence is when you're in the right brain. When you're in the right brain, you're literally in the present moment. This is why women are always saying to men, just be in the moment. Be in the moment. Don't be thinking, and thinking about out in the future, in the past. See, the left brain is where you have all your problems. You're in the past thinking about bad things. You're in the future of what could happen bad. When you're in the present moment, all that disappears. Okay, so it says they hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. Interesting, huh? Verse 9, and the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, Adam said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. Wait a minute. Chapter 2, verse 25, it says, and they were both naked, the man and the wife, and his wife, and were not ashamed. So they were in the Garden of Eden every day with God, and they weren't ashamed. They were just in their natural being. By the way, that's symbolic for right brain. By the way, the right brain is the natural brain. So why did they cover themselves with fig leaves? Why did they do that? Because they were ashamed of their nakedness. So they covered up, meaning they disconnected from the right brain. They closed the door to the emotions and feelings, which is where you feel shame when someone shames you. So I didn't read the most important part. So it says, and was afraid, and because I was naked, and I hid myself. And then verse 11, and he said, this is God, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I have commanded there that thou shouldest not eat? So here's the deal. He said, who told you you were naked? Well, the serpent did. Because before, like a dog or a cat, they walk around naked. They didn't, their genitals hang out all the time. No one seems to give a shit because it's natural. And that's the way it used to be. We were never ashamed of ourselves before. And listen to that word, ourself. Yourself is your right brain. The right brain goes down inside your body. It connects the nerves to your emotions and your feelings in your body. This is the emotional processor. This is yourself. Your left brain is not who you are. That's the mechanical brain to structure things, to figure things out, to put things together. Now, number one, here's the deal. If you've dealt with real, true narcissist abuse, you've been humiliated, you've been shamed, and what happens is they're trying to get you to disconnect from God by doing that, by hiding in your logic and following the rules, doing as you're told. You know what the devil really wants to do? He wants you to lose your life, meaning you're here alive, but are you going after your dreams? Are you painting that canvas that you wanted to paint? Are you making that musical that you've always wanted to make? Have you trekked the mountain? Have you done this? Have you competed in that? Have you built the business that you wanted? No, because I think people think I'm bad, and I don't want people to think, and I'm ashamed, and I'm afraid, and yeah, exactly. The devil wants to steal your life. I don't necessarily mean he wants to kill you. But he doesn't want you to live, which is the right brain, emotions and feelings, see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. Remember when you were a kid, it's almost as if they allow us to be this. Because when you're a kid, you're in your right brain. But some of us who are beaten by our parents very severely, They were like angered whenever you showed any right brain expression, emotion, feeling, like even seeing the colors in such a vivid. By the way, when you open up your right brain, you see the colors of. Sorry, I cut it off. So you see the colors of life. You smell food. You taste the flavors of food much more intensely, much more in depth. Music becomes more vibrant. You begin to enjoy living. You begin to enjoy being alive and feeling your emotions and feeling and seeing, hearing, and smelling the taste and flavors of life. By the way, ladies, you were always right all along. But the problem was we lived in a society that was ruled by men, which are two-dimensional. The left brain's the two-dimensional brain, and they never understood any of this stuff. They thought everything was about rules, structure, and organization. Now let's talk about that. The left brain was always supposed to support the right brain. The left brain was supposed to make roads and structures so we could drive, so we could use the round wheels, which by the way is feminine. Circle and curves is feminine. Straight, structures, angles, geometry, triangles, angles, that's logic, that's left brain. The logic was meant to support the creative, not the other way around. Another way of saying it is the masculine was supposed to create supposed to support the creative, the feminine. So the left brain is about rules, structure, like building a road, building a highway, building a building, right? Rules, structure, and organization, which is churches and groups and etc. So here's the point. I'm going to use the rules as one because we already talked about structure. Rules were meant to be designed to free you, to allow you, to support you to create whatever you wanted. They were not meant to restrict you and hold you back, but if you look at all of our rules, I don't care if it's rules of the road. Well, rules of the road are pretty good because you don't smash into each other. But I'm talking about all these rules and laws that put you in jail and restrict you and hold you back and, oh, you're not allowed. I mean, oh my God, if you try to be a creative on YouTube or any of these other places, they have so many rules. Can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. And it's kind of like a point of like, well, why not? They actually made a rule. Okay, remember years ago when computers came out, and then about 8 years later, 10 years later, they came out with PDFs. Now you can download a book online. You don't have to kill a tree, and you can save a rabbit, and all that stuff. The point being is like PDFs were going to save the world, save the earth, save the trees, right? So we don't have to make all these books. Now you can just download it, get it instantly. Believe it or not, just 2 or 3 years ago, Google, YouTube made a rule. You are not allowed to sell PDFs on your website anymore. It is literally against the rules. Because Jeff Bezos and Amazon cannot make any money off of not shipping your PDF. There's no way that they can charge you to ship your PDF. That's why they made that rule. Kind of stupid, huh? But here's the really interesting thing. People or groups like Apple, Amazon, they can do it. As long as they can make money off of your creation, it's allowed. But when they're not, it's not allowed. They can do it, but you can't. Rules for me and rules for thee. Yeah. All right, so here's something that the point I'm trying to get across. The rules were supposed to be designed to help you create, not to limit you. But what we've done with our laws and our rules and structure and everything is to limit people, to hold people back. The Constitution was designed to support you. And that's what rules are meant to do. They're supposed to support your creation, your creativity. See, creativity could be marrying the right husband, having beautiful children, raising your children to be beautiful people. That could be a creation in and of itself. It doesn't mean you have to go be an artist or a musician and all of a sudden take guitar lessons. It doesn't matter do you want to be a Spanish teacher? Do you want to be an English teacher? Do you want to create your own university? See, the idea is just to begin to create. Here's what I think is going to happen, what I'm hoping is happening. I think this great awakening we're going through, we are going to start changing the rules to where the logical brain, the rules and structure and organization is to support you, to empower you, not to limit you. See, Broken to Bulletproof is about healing you so you can overcome your limitations and the brainwashing. See, we do a lot of reframing. We do a lot of belief changes. Now, here's the deal, because the beliefs that you were taught, the rules that you were told, the rules that were conditioned into you, even the values were designed to control you and to hold you back. So as an NLP trainer, what I do, I come in here and use this belief change technique. We use reframing. See, here's the deal about rules and beliefs and values. They're not real. They're not real at all. We just literally make them up. In fact, that's what we've done, and that's what the world's starting to go like. Well, who made this rule? Who said that that we can tax people for every breath they take? That's what they're trying to do. In California, they're trying to pass a law to tax you for every mile that you drive on the road. Now, do you understand how many taxes we already have to build and fix the roads? Now they made another, or they're trying to make another one. How else? See, officials, when they get into office, they think it's about the greatest, mostest competition of who can create the most ridiculous freaking things to make up new ways to tax people. See, their creativity is, okay, I've got a great idea. And we can tax them on walking. We can put a foot monitor on them, and for every step that they take, we can charge them taxes on that. It's ridiculous in California. We passed a tax law many, many years ago. I don't know if it's 2 decades ago or how long, but it was a while back, to fix the roads. And we were all like, yeah, we need to fix the damn roads. And then 10, 15 years later, they came along and says, hey, we're going to make another gas tax. By the way, if I didn't mention gas tax, they taxed gas for this. That's how they were going to get the money to fix the roads. Then they came along and says, hey, we're going to do a double gas tax. And we're going to tax you again for the same thing to fix the roads. Our roads are not fixed, but they have our taxes. The system is upside down. Rule, structure, and organization were to support creativity. They were supposed to create the feminine energy. Now, when I say feminine energy, I don't mean women empowerment. Now it's women's turn to be in control. That is not what I'm saying. Humans, both. But I will tell you this, the male brain, because men were in power, might makes right. They decided what the Bible meant. They said, oh, it's not about love like Jesus says. It's about rules. Rules. You got to follow the rules. We made logic, rules, and structure and organization God. We begin to value that above creation. And that's why everything is upside down. If we begin to value creation above the rules, things are going to get better. Now, when I say above rules, I don't necessarily mean, because if someone's egotistical is listening to this, they're going to hear it, okay, so now this is the winner. No, it's like, it's supposed to be a system that's supposed to work together. That's all I'm saying. The structure was supposed to support the cars driving down the road. If you build a structure to where the cars crash into potholes or crash into barriers, well, what's the point of having a road? What's the point of having a car? What's the point of creating a round wheel to go flowing down that road? There is no point. You're missing the point. Marriage should be designed to support love, not to destroy love. The rules are not designed to support long-term marriage. The rules are not designed to support happiness together, love together, joy together. That's what's wrong with our system. Everything is designed in the terms and sense of either or, right or wrong, good or bad. Therefore, the minute you get married, now there's all these rules. Well, if you don't follow this, you're wrong. You're bad. You're going to hell. That the church has done the same thing. Everything has been designed to where it's good or bad, right or wrong. And Jesus, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you eat pork, God's saying, look, if you eat that pork, now this is back thousands of years ago before we learned how to clean pork. God's saying, hey, you're going to get sick and you could die. If you eat that shellfish, you could get sick from it. You could die from it. That's why I don't want you to eat that. And so mankind changes it into sin. But I believe the word sin is like the word love. What do they say in the Bible? There's love of God. There's love of a family. There's love of your children. There's love of your work. There's love of your wife. There's sexual love. There's different forms of love. It doesn't mean that there's one word that means one thing. The word sin, I believe, is like, hey, I made a rule not to send you to hell. Not to condemn you, not to make you feel shame. No. I'm saying, hey, you got to clean this in this way. Here's the steps to clean this fish, to clean this shellfish, to clean this pork. so you don't get sick and die. But people said, no, these are sins. Rule number one, sin number two. And God's like, they're not sins. You're not going to hell. Now, the word sin back then may have meant rule. It may have had different meanings. Like, well, this is a rule for healthcare. This is a rule for this. This is a spiritual rule. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. So people combined all of them together and said, if you break any of these rules, any of these sins, you're going to hell. And God's like, that's not what I was saying. We are now realizing, wait a minute, God's not sending his children to hell. He's not sending us to hell. He's sending the demon and his narcissistic, demonic followers to hell. Alright, that's it for this video. I didn't mean it to be this long. I've got something written down. I'm going to read it off, and I think that's going to bring clarity to this. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm not supposed to be wealthy. No, if you're a child of God, you're actually supposed to be wealthy and prosperous. It's in the Bible, and God's the one who said it multiple times. Satan's the one who wants you to live in poverty. Now think about that. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Remember, click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and right now, if you can make a donation, I would greatly appreciate it. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.